Hey y'all, we back on Control the Cool. It's your boy A. Kinsler.
Slim Sulion, Joe Woods.
And listen, man, we got a wonderful connoisseur of the cologne, my main man, Mr. Taliaferro. What's going on, sir?
All is well. Thank you for having me. I'm definitely looking forward to discussing these fragrances, the inspiration behind them, as well as some other good things.
That's dope. That's dope. So, tell us, tell the world, how did you start doing fragrances, colognes, perfumes? Where did it come from?
Originally, I had a desire just to create like plugins because I was like, I'm spending so much money on plugins. I see Glade and all these earwigs. I spent literally like $60 a month on plugins. And then I decided like, hold on, what if I just start making my own fragrances? But I wasn't going to sell them. I was just going to make them for myself. So I had my house smelling delicious, had some company come by, a female company, and she smelled the place, and she was like, how is it that what you're wearing smells the same way in your house? And I told her, it's because I created it. And then she was like, you should sell this. And I'm like, I should. I'm like, oh, I was just doing it for myself, just for my own enjoyment. And then it took off from there.
That's dope, that's dope. I mean, of course, a smell is something that, we all have. I know I'm a product user of yours as well, definitely have a few cents on, but along with you making the fragrances, what is it that drives you? Has there ever been any past experience that you like, I gotta change it, maybe this could be something that could be pushed out to the people,
Absolutely. The original name of the company starting out was Luxurious License. I'm not sure if you remember.
Yes,
but
yes,
it was a totally different target market, mindset, demographic. It was totally different. It was more so when I'm starting out, I want to serve wealthy clients. I want to have mansion parties. It was very materialistic. But then it was a transition where I wanted to make people feel like the wealth, feel like the mansion, feel like the riches and everything internally. So I said, I'm going to use my fragrances to communicate that message to them. And from there, I've been able to create custom fragrances as well as do these limited edition events, which Amir has been such a great guest at. And that's how we have been doing so far.
So let me ask you a question. All right, I see 3 bottles. What was the first one that you actually created? What's the name of it?
Ooh. I got it. No, I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it.
So is it like?
All right. So it was the first fragrance I designed was actually called BED, which is an acronym for Become Everyone's Desire. It was actually something I created, this kind of like mixing things actually, and it got some good feedback. I'm like, I actually was laying on the bed when I made BED.
I think.
Did you break the bed first?
Yes.
Oh yeah, here it is.
And this fragrance is actually still like one of our most popular fragrances. This has done pretty well in sales, and I just love how it makes people feel. The whole thing about fragrances is that they have the most direct connection to the center of the brain, which controls emotion. So I didn't know that starting out. I'm like, I have the ability to unite people, to encourage them to connect, and all these things through using scent. And that wasn't something that I originally even thought of when I first started. I was just trying to make money. So fragrances, they literally are everywhere. Everywhere. Even when you go into a certain place, if it smells bad, do you want to stay there?
No.
You're like, oh, you go into a chicken shack, and if it smells crazy, you're like,
Usually, like, after you use bathroom, you know what?
Exactly.
Now I have a question. Now, did you go to, you started out just mixing and matching. Now, did you broaden even further, like going to school, or what, you just like YouTube it and stuff like that, or you just said, you know what, I'm just going to continue what I'm doing here right now?
So I actually, like you said, I did start out just mixing things, just using divine inspiration. But now I actually was blessed to be able to meet a mentor who actually created fragrances for people such as Tommy Hilfiger, Ralph Lauren, Calvin Klein, and so forth. So she became my mentor and gave me directive on how to build fragrances kind of from the ground up, to give me a structure and foundation. And from there, I did my own research online. I never had formal, like, going to school, full out teaching, but I've been able to have some really good people, like people who have multi-million-dollar projects, and they've been able to give me information.
No, I'm sorry, because I was going to ask that question, like how did you get into that scientific side of it, creating these actual scents?
Yeah, one of my favorite motivational speakers, Eric Thomas, he says, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. So like I kind of brought that energy to the fragrances, like, you know what? This industry is European dominated as far as fragrance and cosmetics. So I said, okay, you see a young black man in here trying to do his thing, you want to kind of give me the push out, you don't want to let me into the stores. So I said, I'm going to learn and get all this information myself online, through networking events, just a lot of hard work, just memorizing. It was, there was no person that kind of let me into a lab. I had to make my own.
So how much testing did you do? You don't just want to put out a fragrance, someone puts it on, and next thing you know, they have a huge rash or a burn on the arm or something like that. But how much testing is done before you actually put it out on the market?
I have like this pig actually that stays in my. No, I'm kidding. No, I mean it was like mostly friends and family. I did the testing on people that I trust, that trusted me, and that's how we started the testing.
Because I know either friends and family, everybody has different type of pheromones and oils. So when you put it on, it may be good on one person, but on the other person, someone else, it might just give them a rash or whatnot. So you probably get like thousands.
Oh my goodness, absolutely, absolutely. Because with the fragrance industry, the good thing is that they have a standard. So because I go to a manufacturer that has they follow a certain standard, I just make their standard my standard since they're already successful. The good thing about fragrances nowadays, because they call it you have essentials, and then you have kind of like chemical compositions where they emulate the fragrance, but it's not the actual scent. So for example, and instead of having an actual lemon and crushing it and making it into a fragrance, we compose it from the molecules, the essence of a lemon. So it's kind of like that. So with my fragrance company and the partners, I was able to get more information on, like you said, the pheromones, different people that have different skin types, learning how scent actually releases from the skin. A lot of people don't know this, but your diet actually affects how you smell.
Okay.
So you vegan.
When you were saying about creating the scents, is that almost like, instead of using a lemon, is that like reverse engineering, kind of going from in that type of way, like reversing what you started from to find out how to get to the part?
I focus more so on the kind of like the chemical composition side. I never really went into this like full out, like just literally getting some rose petals and just crushing them and just doing it that way. I just more so focus on the chemical composition side. A lot of people don't know this. Also, this is a cool fact. It takes over 2,000 rose petals just to make 1 small ounce of pure rose oil.
Wow.
So when you're going to the fragrance houses and stuff like that, and you're getting the pure, it could be very expensive. Very expensive. That's the reason why a lot of them go with the chemical compositions and they go that route, which myself I have as well.
Now, there's a lot of companies out there that make perfumes and colognes and whatnot. Who do you pattern yourself after? Who do you look at and say, you know what, I see this stuff, I see how they roll, I want to try to pattern myself after that. You look at the pros and you look at the cons, those who aren't doing well, you try to pattern like, okay, this is something I don't want to do.
So starting out, it was a company called Clive, and Clive actually when I first started out, and it was because their essence of like luxury and appeal and the dynamic of how they position things was just, I thought it was fantastic. Right. And I kind of copied myself, I emulated their brand, even with the way I designed that logo for Luxurious Life Sense. Right. But then it was a transition where I was like, hold up, I want to be like P. Diddy. Like P. Diddy is actually one of my inspirations to answer your question as well. So because he had the fragrance Unforgivable and 3 AM and other products as well. But he actually was one of my inspirations. now the inspiration that I have is mostly independent brands that I feel have really good branding as far as the message that they communicate. It's usually to a niche person, niche client.
So what is your message? I'm not even specifically with one, but just yours.
Our message, our slogan is "I'm luxury. What about you?" As you know, that's been our slogan for years now. And that is basically like going back to communicating that I'm the wealth, I'm the richest. Seeing in modern day and age, we have a lot of people who are pursuing the material and they're going heartlessly, like, I have to make this money, I have to do this, I have to do that. But our philosophy is if you focus internally and build yourself up and you focus on having the right heart, what happens is you become a magnet and become an attracting dynamic for wealth, riches, and so forth. And it's not just material, it's relationships, it's health, it's your marriage. You know, I've been married for 3 years now, and
Congratulations.
if anybody says about that, you know, that in itself, you have to have a certain level of interior wealth to be able to really be successful to be married. Especially in a day and age where we have a lot of narcissistic behaviors and YOLO mindsets, and also massive fallback mode, right?
So, you know, I've been married for like over 20 years, but we're gonna take a quick break, you know, and come back and, you know, hear more from this young brother.
Yep, be back at you. Yep, be back at it, y'all. Control the cool. We gonna keep talking to my man Taliaferro here. You know, I know Joe before, while we was on break, we was just having an open conversation, just talking about a few things. Joe, I know you had a question for him.
Yeah, now that you're in the fragrance business, who was the top person you trying to knock off the block?
Ooh,
man.
you trying to put people under the fire.
That's right, because, you know, if you're going to be in business, you want to be on number one. So I who was number one in your book who you trying to knock off the mountain?
I would say it was actually Tom Ford.
Okay.
Yeah, Tom Ford.
Coming for you.
Go big, go home.
Yeah, the reason why is because trying to be like the black luxury brand of fragrance that focuses on being quality, having good pricing, as well as having an actual message, not just something you smell good, but you actually feel good because you're reminded by the message that we communicate with the fragrances.
Right. Being that we are control and cool, we always promote grassroots and things of that nature. So we're definitely going to make sure that we promote you and to help you knock Mr. Ford off this. You know,
Coming for you. We're gonna help him.
Y'all gotta buy a bottle. I got mine already.
Speaking of promoting, right here we have Victoria Sangria. Sangria, we're going to, you know, crack open a little bit right now, and I'm gonna get a little bit of it over here.
I got cranberry juice.
This is the passion fruit flavor right here.
Check it out. Make sure you go to her Instagram, Victoria Sangrias.
Yup. Make sure y'all get some of that.
Yeah. And it's not, you know, this is quality. Quality. You take the first sip and, you know, you taste it. So
Sangria
I'm gonna
with
taste it.
soul.
Right now.
So I got a dope question for you. Can you, well, number one, I would like you to introduce your fragrances that you have here. I know this one is Redwood. Is that a new fragrance that you have?
So Redwood, the cool thing about these fragrances is there are certain fragrances which we actually allow our customers to name. So
Scented Social.
the Scented
Right,
Social,
right.
which is actually coming up April 25th this year. We're going to have it at a special guest house. So look out for that information. But at the event, at the end of it, everyone has a chance to actually name the fragrance based on how the fragrance makes them feel. So for example, let's say if they smell it and it makes them smell like, if they feel like Sour Patch Kids, they'd be like, oh, this is called a sour. You know what I'm saying? This fragrance, actually, my brother was the one who actually won the votes because everyone, like, there's literally like a committee at the end. Everyone kind of like votes and says, we want that name, and that is what becomes the name of that particular fragrance. So Redwood is what was named by a guest.
So I can check Redwood out.
This
is the one we talked about, and then this one, there's no name.
Yeah, so this fragrance was actually created for Mr. Amir and his shop. It's called Unknown.
Very good.
So I can get, so can I get this a name? This is me.
You gotta smell it first.
Okay. No, but you know what? Look,
This smell like the bathroom situation.
I don't know. You
Be like Kramer at the beach.
It don't smell like you though.
Yeah. Hey. See,
Okay,
yo,
so
let me tell y'all
we could
something.
actually make this fun. So like,
Smells like
what would
Keto.
you name
There
it?
you go.
But what okay.
Do y'all don't hear all these side
Yeah,
jokes
it's
that's
got a
going on?
cinnamon feel like float to
Hot
it.
cinnamon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like
That's the name?
That's
It
what I would name it. Hot
smells,
cinnamon.
Hot cinnamon?
smell like
Yeah, that's just like Joe.
Hot cinnamon. Funk.
Yeah.
What would you name it?
Oh man, it's spicy.
Yeah, it is. Love spice.
Uh,
I would actually call this opulence.
You know what's so crazy about that?
Google opulence.
Listen,
English dictionary, because they trying to play me like I don't got a college education. Opulent. Look, now you got me saying the wrong name.
Opulence.
Opulence
I love it.
means great wealth.
You know what? My boy Raphael Gordon just came out with his new book, and it's called Opulence.
That word, but you know, that
Raphael
word
Gordon,
is crazy, man, because when you think about great wealth, like, that's kind of what, you know, what we stand for here. You know, we're trying to be, and going to be successful. So I would name, you know, I definitely would name this opulence because, you know, the way it smells, it's like it's the start of something. You know, it's the start of something new. It's the start of it being it. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely, and thank you. So you can get this fragrance,
Luxury.
the luxury. You can get this, of course, and a few other fragrances right here at Menswear Unlimited in Linden, New Jersey. Make sure y'all come on out. Y'all can buy a bunch of this stuff. You know, so definitely come out and support, man. Of course, we definitely want to support a black-owned business.
Definitely, every day, all day. So we're gonna get into a segment right now where we're going to Sue's book, Cool. The last two guests broke that stuff down, and we had Sine Victoria was here, and she came up with an image. Well, her word was color on earth, and I actually ended up with this piece here, right? This out the way. But we're gonna have you do your thing. We can't let these guys see, and you see if you can stump them on, me adding the art side to it.
Okay. So let me dip into my Swedish fish. Shout out to Swedish fish.
And Sour Patch.
Exactly.
And listen, we waiting for this check,
That's
baby.
right. We've been
We waiting
saying
for
this.
this check.
And you said it was out of Hackett.
Packets. It's in New Jersey.
Yeah.
They're in Jersey.
So you can see this.
That was quick.
It was real quick.
Okay, so while
Okay.
Slim's doing that, behind you, there's a beautiful painting designed by Joe Woods. So I could only ask so two questions. Is making a fragrance an art? And also, if you had, because you're good with the names, if this painting was a fragrance, what would it be?
Wow. Well, to answer your question, I would say that fragrance is definitely an art form. It's similar to creating music because you're taking notes and you're composing them into something that leaves a nice melody, and that melody is with the nose rather than the ears. So with this right here, if I was to name it, I would say retro. And the reason I chose retro is because I like all the different colors, and I feel like that yellow pops, and it makes me feel like 80s, like vintage.
What's the name of this painting?
That is Afro Punk 3.
Afro Punk 3.
It's a series. I have Afro Punk 1, 2. This is 3. 2 is right in the corner.
We ain't get to see 2 yet, so this is dope though.
Retro chic.
So similar to a painting, there's a process.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and I keep trying to have Joe explain this process was had me like floored, but it took like a few hours, to get that done. Does it take, how long does it take you to come up with like a smell? Like I know, I've rocked with you before, but I can only imagine it takes hours. Like, what's your inspiration? How do you just wake up like, all right, I'm gonna grab this, and like, what is it? You know?
Okay. Yeah, so I would say it's three things. The first thing it is, I would say it's more so divine inspiration. It's God. Literally, there are certain things, certain pictures, like for example, if I see a picture like this, there may be a composition that comes to my mind as far as the sense. So I'm seeing yellow, I'm thinking of maybe a little bit of, let's say, banana. Then I may see the purple, I think of licorice, or kind of like a candy. See the blue, I think of blueberry. Like, so it'll like just give you an example of how the mindset works behind it. I'll take the colors and actually like experiment with the notes that I have, all the different various notes, and say how can this actually work cohesively. That's the divine inspiration part. The second level is more so just experimentation, just taking what I have and mixing things kind of intuitively, because just like cooking, a lot of people think making fragrance is hard. I try to be very transparent with the process because I'm not afraid of anybody taking my ideas, taking my concepts, because it's enough to go around for everyone. I'm not worried about my competition. I like this collab anyway. So, you know, I'm all about building. But when you are mixing things and you're intuitive, it's the same way to cooking. You know, when you're cooking, if you're a good cook, naturally you kind of know what seasonings based on what they taste. You know how to mix it in with the food into the soup or whatever that you're making. It's kind of an intuitive process. And third, I would say another method is kind of like the scientific method, where I'm going online, doing some research, seeing what's popular, and building from there.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, you know, I finished my side of things. I'll show you.
Oh, wow. Dang, that's wild.
So now I'm gonna show these other youngsters. Well, one of them.
I don't know if they're gonna get
Oh,
that.
That's different, yeah.
Man,
I don't know if they're gonna get that one.
where you started off, they probably wouldn't get it that much.
You writing in cursive?
Yeah.
Oh, he wrote it in cursive?
Yeah.
Oh, cheated, Joe.
Oh,
That's what I said. I looked like you wrote it
So
in
you,
cursive.
I think I didn't go too hard. I had to actually
I like
go out there,
that. That's fire. I want to throw them
I
off.
can't. I see the look, Joe.
I see the cursive. That's why
Yeah, I
asked.
see right there, but I just can't. I can't figure it out.
Luxurious.
Luxurious.
Close.
Luxury.
Oh,
okay.
Wait, is that it?
Yeah.
That's the word?
Yeah.
That's the first, so I'm controlling the room. Now, normally we do not figure out the word, so this is a first.
So because you can still see it, since you
That's
said it was in
fire.
cursive, I guess that's why you were able to get on.
Wow. Wow. So what we do, man, we have everyone sign it. So you got definitely this is our memorial, almost so to speak. So oh dang, there we go.
Alright, you know, you gotta take no time. You know?
Quick, fast, and easy.
Man, listen, definitely enjoy having you here as a guest. This was very powerful. I learned a lot about scents and how you did all these things. It's just incredible, honestly. I never knew that you would have been coming through the door saying, this is what you do, this is how you do it. So I want to say thank you for inspiring me.
Thank you.
That's dope, man. And as always, of course, like y'all gotta get one, man. Y'all gotta get one.
I'm gonna get one.
There definitely should be a funky doodler scent out
gonna be
there.
a
I want to come to you and custom make a scent just for me.
Absolutely.
And what I gotta do, I gotta go in and say, I tell you what I want, and you just write it down, and you just go to the lab and get loose. How's that work?
So it's a number of ways. One way is to do a phone consultation. I'll send you an assessment via email. Complete the assessment. I actually have it online, actually not even, so I'll make it simpler. So you go online, complete the assessment. It takes like 2-3 minutes. Then you'll call me. I'll go through some of your background information, like as far as childhood, favorite color, favorite fragrances, memorable relationships, and so forth, and stuff like that. And I take all that, I put it into a jellyfish bowl, similar to this, and then I kind of create from here.
And what's the price on this process?
So normally that process is $149.
Still
And
cheap.
because normally, and that's the reason why, because I am all about giving, and expensive experience for less expensive. I don't like to say cheap,
Right.
you know, because I feel like when you really have quality, you know who you are, you draw the masses to you. You know,
Plus, it's a personal sense. It's like, yo, this is me. I will pay for me.
yeah,
Right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
exactly. But it's yours.
Yeah, it's
And
exactly.
nobody else has it but you.
I'll pay for me.
So listen. Once again, we thank you for coming through, and we will have you here in the future. We following you throughout your career. So, my name is Slim Soliard, and this is
And Kinsler,
And this is Joe Woods. And as always, we make the rules,
so we control the cool.
we out.
We out.
Peace.